Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we again read a double portion of the Torah. We read two parashas. We read Parashat Matot and Parashat Masei. And also these are the two last parashas of the book of Bamidbar, which is the fourth book of Moses. We're already almost entering into the last book of the Torah. Each day we're closer to the holidays again, expecting to enter a new year in the Jewish calendar, and from now we begin our preparation for what's to come. So Rabbi Israel Bar Shem Tov taught that nothing is incidental in the world of Hashem. Everything is perfectly orchestrated. There's no coincidence. Nothing is random. Everything is perfect. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe adds, nothing is incidental in God's blueprint for creation, which is the Torah. And Rabbi Shneur Salman of Yadi, as he puts it, each week we live with the times. That he was saying that the Torah portion is like the Jewish horoscope. In the portion is contained the energy of that week and the lessons that have to be derived for that week. So that two portions are read on the same week means that they are both relevant for our times. So we see here also that from Rabbi Yeshayahu Horowitz, the Shaloch, we learn that the weekly Torah reading bears an integral relationship with the other time landmarks with which it intersects. So in fact, Parashat Matot and Parashat Masei are always read during the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, which are three weeks that are sad weeks for the Jewish people. We're remembering the destruction of the two temples, and we are in a sense, these 3 weeks we are in a state of mourning. So what is the lesson of Parashat Matot, and what is the essence of Parashat Masei, and what is the connection between them and us, and what is the significance of the fact that they are read at this time of the year? So we find that Parashat Matot, the meaning of Matot is tribes, and tribes, it's alluding to the 12 tribes of Israel. Tribes is a synonym. There's two words that mean tribes in the Jewish language. One is Matot and the other one is Shevet. And Shevet is also, both of them are synonyms to tree branches, both of them. So Shevet is referring to a soft, pliable twig, and Matot is alluding to a hard rod, a hard stick. So hardness is one of the qualities which we are forever seeking to acquire and to rid ourselves at the same time. You know, when you say that person is a tough person, he's such a tough person, you know, you can use it for good and you can use it for bad. You can say, okay, that person has like a strong character, that person is strong in his personality, he's able to withstand a lot of problems in his life. Or at the same time, you could see him as a very tough person who is very tough with other people. So we see here that we denounce in ourselves and in others behavior that is obstinate and unyielding. We see that a person that is obstinate, that is has a strong backbone, that it never yields, that is stiff-necked, is not something that we would see as something positive. Indeed, our journey through life requires both firmness and flexibility. We know that there's times in our lives where we have to just bend and let things go. We need to let it be, for the sake of shalom, for the sake of having a good relationship with somebody. And there's other times in which we have to be like a stiff rod. We have to be unyielding, and we have to be very strong, and we have to have a backbone, and we have to be stiff-necked, because if not, we will lose ourselves. So we see here that Rabbi Bunim of Pisisha, he says that a person should have two two pockets in his coat. In one pocket he should write up the verse, I am dust and ashes, and in his second pocket he should contain the Talmudic saying that says a person is commanded to say, for my sake was the world created. The whole world was created for my sake. So we have to have within ourselves these two qualities, let's say it. In a certain way, we have to be humble, we have to let it be, we have to let other people rise. Sometimes it's better to be happy than to be right, you know, as they say. But in other moments of our life, we need to understand that Hashem created the world for us. And as Jewish people, we should never be wishy-washy with who we really are. We should be unyielding. We have to be strong Jewish people. Proud Jews, stand up for our beliefs, stand up for our rights, stand up for not allowing the world to step on us and mistreat us and be bad for us. So this dual approach to life is implied in the Torah, two names of Matot and Masei. While the people of Israel constitute one entity as God's singular nation, they are comprised to 12 distinct tribes, and each of them contributes to the nation in a different way. Each tribe had their own quality, our own vocation, our own mission in life. But at the end of the day, they all work together to comprise the whole. And we see that the Torah refers Israel, the Israel's tribes as Shevatim, branches, or Matot, rods, expressing the idea they are offshoots from a common stem. So they all come from the same tree, and they distinct from each other, yet they're parts of a whole, of the same whole. So while Shevet and Mateh are both synonyms of branch, the Shevet is a pliant, is a flexible rod, it's a flexible branch, while Mateh is a branch of the tree that has been disconnected from the tree. And because it's been disconnected and it's not been receiving the water and the nourishment from the roots of the tree, it has become a rough stick. It's become a rod, like a dry stick. So there lies the deeper significance of these two names of the tribes of Israel. On certain occasions, the Torah refers as branches, stressing the need to be flexible in life. You know, when there's a hurricane coming in Miami, you see that the very strong trees, the oak trees that are old oak trees and they're very strong, they break in half. But the palm trees that are not so strong, that you see them bending with the wind, they survive a storm like a hurricane because they're able to bend. And this, for example, right now that we're living through the coronavirus, the people who are okay, people who are being able to cope with the situation, are the people that are willing to yield, are the people who are bending, are the people who are taking the moment and doing the best with it, and they're being able to accustom themselves to the new situation. But to be able to this, you have to be able to bend and to be able to yield. In other contexts, we are called rods, underscoring the need for firmness and determination in carrying out our mission as a holy people and a light unto the nation. So you know, the Jewish people throughout the Galut, throughout the exile, have endured horrendous things. We've been through the two destructions of two temples. We have been scattered throughout the world. We have been gone through pogroms, crusades, Holocaust, Inquisition, terrorism, anti-Semitism, you name it. The Jewish people have been through everything. Nevertheless, they're able to yield, they're able to bend in the moments they have to bend, but at the same time they have maintained their beliefs and their connection to Hashem strong and like a rod. So the later point really is the lesson of Parashat Matot, which opens with the verse, and Moses spoke to the heads of the tribes. Here the tribes are called by the name Matot, a designation which becomes the name of the parasha and the crux of its message, that there are times in history of a people when they must employ the fortitude and fixity of the rod, when they must find the inner resolve to stick it out in a hostile and capricious world. Sadly, at this moment in history, the Jewish people are again experiencing a lot of anti-Semitism and a lot of brutality and a lot of horrible things. We're going through the same things that happened in Europe before the Holocaust, before World War II. Nevertheless, thank God today we have a nation called Israel, and we have people that have done organizations, and we don't keep ourselves quiet. We're very vocal about it, and we're not like these people that are allowing other people to bully them and mistreat them. We're not allowing that anymore. So hardness is an acquired rather than an intrinsic state. Like harshness, when a person becomes hard, it's not something that comes with a person. This is something that is acquired through life. When people have to go through hardships in life, they become hardened. It's like an egg. The more you boil it, the harder it gets. So while the potential for hardness is always there, it always exists, this is something that we have within us, it is actualized when a substance is subjected to galvanizing conditions and influences. So for the last 2,000 and more years of our exile, the Jewish people have become hardened people. We have to be like that, because if not, we wouldn't be able to survive what the world does to us. So this can be seen in the Shevet Mateh model. As a branch, the Shevet is supple and yielding, bending to the wind and to every pressing hand. But when it is disconnected from the tree to face the elements as a lone rootless rod, it stiffens into a mateh. So in other words, a mateh, a rod, a stiff branch, is a shevet. It is a twig, a yielding twig that has been hardened by the experience of galut, deprived of tenderizing moisture from its nurturing roots, and the latent hardness of the wood asserts itself, transforming the pliant branch into a rigid staff. Therein lies the connection between Parasha Matot and the time of the year in which it is read, which is now in the 3 weeks before the 9th of Av, we're mourning our homeland, we're mourning the destruction of our 2 temples. In the time when the temple stood, we were like the Shevatim. We were like these twigs that were full of life and were yielding and bending, because in the times of the temple, the Jewish people had the presence of God with them. They saw the Shehinah in their midst, and so they were not hardened. They hadn't experienced such tough times. We hadn't lived through this. So we see here that even though the Torah commands us to mourn the events of the 3 weeks, it insists that our mourning be a constructive endeavor. Hashem doesn't only want us to sit down and cry and not listen to not listen to music for 3 weeks and not do weddings and not buy new clothes and not party and do these things. What He wants us to do during these 3 weeks is that we focus, that we take these 3 weeks as an opportunity to focus on how we have to do, what we have to do to end this exile. What other things a Jew must do in these times to be able to bring the Geula, to bring the redemption. So even as we agonize over the rootlessness of galut, because galut is like we have been disconnected from our tree. The Jew is a wandering Jew now. We are disconnected from the tree. We must take advantage of the manner in which our disconnection from our natural environment strengthens us and galvanizes us. Even as we weep over the destruction of God's home and the absence of His revealed presence in our lives, we must tap to the tremendous potential that exists in the galut, in the exile, which is to strengthen our faith and our trust in God. This is what we do right now. You know, once I asked Rebbetzin Brusenwanken from Chabad Aventura, she was giving a class on the 3 weeks. And I said to her, I don't understand why Hashem hasn't brought Mashiach. What is he waiting for? Like, nothing has changed. For the last 2,000 something years, we're all the same people, same issues, same everything. Why hasn't he brought Mashiach? And she said to me, Margie, you don't understand. To see a Jew today wearing a kippah in his head, seeing Jewish women lighting Shabbat candles, seeing a Jew eating kosher food, seeing a Jew praying, seeing Jewish children going to Jewish schools, and the women going to the mikvah, 2,000 something years after the destruction of the two temples, is a miracle. It's a miracle. How can it be that we're still here? It doesn't make any sense that there's still Jewish people in this world that still are connected to their essence. They're still connected to Torah and mitzvot. Because we don't have the revelation of Hashem. We cannot feel Him, we cannot see Him, but nevertheless, the trust and the faith in God has not died. It's still alive. And that is miraculous. So she said to me, this is why Mashiach hasn't come, because for Hashem there's so much pleasure in seeing this, that there's still Jewish people that are mourning the destruction of the three temples that they didn't even have the experience to experience, and they're still sitting for 3 weeks and mourning them and fasting on the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av and sitting in the ground and crying. Like, if you think about it, it really doesn't make any sense. We look at other nations like the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Romans. They're nowhere to be seen. They don't exist anymore. They're in the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art behind the windows. That's where they are. But the Jew is still alive. It's still here. And it doesn't make any sense. So the answer to that is Matot, is that we have a backbone. We are stiff-necked people. We're unyielding. We still keep to ourselves. We still keep to who we are. We never let go of who we really are. So there is more to Galut, there's more to the exile than toughening the Jewish soul. And Galut is a journey. A journey is not just a departure from home, it is an advance towards a destination. So indeed, this is the difference between the wanderer and the journeyer. The wanderer is escaping or being driven away from a place. He's wandering. He has no mission, no purpose wherever he is. He's just a wandering person. But a person that is journeying, that is in a journey, he's never lost. Wherever he is, there's a purpose for him to be there. And that's why we read this second portion of Masei. Masei means journeys. The 42 journeys that the Jewish people did in the desert before entering the Jewish homeland. And in a certain way, life, every person goes through 42 journeys in their life. And also, we are doing these journeys before Mashiach comes. So journeying really is something that brings the treasures that are procured at the various points of the itinerary. So when a person is journeying, he is bringing out the best of each place. He's not only bringing out the best of each place, but he's also giving the best of himself to that place. So what are we seeking in our places of exile? What will bring home with us when we return from our journey to the ends of the earth, to when Mashiach comes and we're all again back in our homeland, in the land of Israel? The Talmud defines the purpose of Galut as the acquisition of converts. So the people of Israel were exiled among the nation. It declares only so that the converts might be added to them. So these converts assume many forms. In a way, it's in a literal sense. It's to give the opportunity to those souls that have been disconnected from the Jewish people to come back, to return to who they really are, and bring them back. But also, we see that the Jewish religion is not a proselytizing religion. We are not trying to convert people to Judaism. This is not. We don't believe in this. We don't do that. But when a person feels that he is a Jew and that he needs to come back home, the Jewish religion accepts him. Not only that, it is a commandment of the Torah that we have to love the convert. We have to love the convert. So there is more subtle conversion of a pagan world to it says here, there is the more subtle conversion of the pagan world to the monotheistic ethos and ideals of the Torah. So the exile, the galut, that we've been going through for ages, for centuries already, the Kabbalists explain that these converts that the Torah is talking about is that we release the godly sparks that are contained in the material world and all creation of God. So there's a concept in the Kabbalah which is called klipa, and the klipa is that God creates the world in three different ways. So one way in which he creates the world is with his face. When he creates something with his face, with his countenance, it is called kedusha, kodesh, holiness. So when he creates with his face, he's creating things that are holy. What does holiness mean? Holiness means that it's transparent to its creation. That you see something and you know it's holy. For example, a Sefer Torah. Sefer Torah, it's a holy article. It's something that doesn't need to be elevated. You don't need to release the godly sparks of the Torah. It is indeed holy. If you read it or you don't read it, if you take it out on a Saturday, it doesn't matter. It is holy. But then Hashem creates other things that come from his back, which is called the Sitra Achra. And one of the things that he creates from the Sitra Achra is the klipa. It's called klipa noga. Klipa noga is like a shell, like a peel of a fruit. So what it means is that all the creation of the world that is permissible for a Jew, that is permissible for us, comes from klipa noga. What it means is that all the world is hiding behind this shell or this peel. So when a Jew is going to use this certain article, let's put money as an example. Money, it comes from klipa noga, from the back of God. So these are things that he creates, that he doesn't want to create, but he has to create them in order for a Jew to use them in the right way and release the godly sparks. So money. If a person's going to go to work because he needs to make a livelihood, if his intention to work is because he wants to become very rich, so he can be honored in his society, so he can have the best car, the best house, the best everything, then he's really not releasing the godly sparks contained within the money. He's not bringing out the good out of it. But if a person, his intention when he goes to work is to make a good livelihood, to be able to provide for his family, to be able to give his children good education, to be able to give tzedakah, to give charity, to be able to help institutions, and be a good person in society, build a good society, then the godly sparks of this money are released and they're going up. So that's what it means that the converts, the Jewish person, his mission in life is to convert things, is to change their status from bad to good. And most of all klipa noga has contained within itself sparks of godliness, sparks of goodness. But if we don't use them in the right way, we don't convert them to good. They become evil. They take the other side. So the Talmud is saying that is the purpose of our galut. The purpose of our exile is to convert all these things that are in the world that are hiding behind a shell or a peel, and for a Jew to come and elevate them in the way that he uses them, with the right intention, with a godly intention. So in that way we redeem the sparks of holiness which lie buried in the most far-flung places and circumstances. I once heard a rabbi in a talk, he said that once Mashiach comes, we're going to be yearning for these times. Because it's at these moments of galut, of exile, even if they're so dark and so hard, the opportunity of a Jew to bring light to the world and to do goodness here and bring the good out of everything, once Mashiach comes, we're not going to have that anymore. There's not going to be any... People are not going to need to be rich anymore. There's not going to be sick people to visit anymore. There's not going to be poor people to feed anymore. Everything's going to be perfect. So this is a time of opportunity. So this concept of Galut is expressed by the second parasha of our pair, the section of Masei, Journeys, which chronicles these travels of the Jewish people in the desert before entering the homeland. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who went out from the land of Egypt, and they journeyed from Ramses and they camped on Sukkot. They journeyed from Sukkot and camped in Eitam, and Masei goes on to list the 42 journeys comprised in the travels of the Jews before they entered the Holy Land. So the commentaries explain that these journeys are the forerunners and prototypes for the historical saga of Israel as we advance through the desert of the nations, and as the prophet Ezekiel says, the entry into the land in the age of Mashiach. So God willing, this is the whole purpose of our exile. And so that the fact that the Torah considers Galut to Masei, to journeys, means that the purpose of Galut is to be found also and primarily in the places to which it brings us, so that each of its travels is a journey and each of its encampments is a destination. So wherever you are right now stuck, wherever you are, that you think, oh my gosh, I got stuck here, I know friends that haven't been able to go back to their homes because they're stuck in other countries. You're not stuck anywhere. You are where you're meant to be. This is where you need to be right now. This is where the godly sparks contained need to be released from you. This is your purpose at this moment. So both Matot and Masei are parachutes that are read during these 3 weeks. And Matot instructs us how to pursue the Galut, how to do it. Sometimes we have to yield, sometimes we have to bend, sometimes we have to let go, and sometimes we have to be stiff-necked and have a backbone and stand strong. This is the way to do it. And in another way is to understand that we are here to transform our environment. A Jew is a lamplighter, and we're here to transform the world and make it a holier place for Hashem, to make a dwelling place for God in this world. So when we read these two parashas together, Matot and Masei, they're united in one single Torah reading. Then the directive of the week, the message for this week, what we have to take within us, is to integrate them both into a single approach to Galut. Living with the times in such a week means discovering how your interaction with a hostile environment is not a challenge to your values and convictions, but the strengthening and the affirmation. It means discovering how your toughness and intractability in your faith is not a hindrance to achievement and creativity, but actually it is an aid. It is a tool that you have that makes you have the opportunity to transform the corner of the world that was given to you at this moment, that little space that you're in, and transform it to a place where Hashem can dwell. So I wish you a blessed week, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.